I think I messed up. Wait, I'm sure I did. Welcome to Young Elder TV, where UFOs, religions, Anunnaki, and black youth collide in a cosmic comedy. Meet Marcus, our fearless leader. He's an aspiring scientist and part-time alien enthusiast. Then there's Maya, his sister, a no-nonsense lawyer who secretly believes in ancient astronauts. Oh, and don't forget Grandma Pearl. She swears she had tea with an alien once. And finally, their quirky neighbor, Mr. Thompson, convinced he's a reincarnated god. With 3 million fans already hooked, Young Elder TV blends laughs with galactic mysteries. Ready to join the fun? Hit that subscribe button and dive into the cosmic chaos. Young Elder TV, where the stars align for comedy. One should not allow the mind to dissipate its energy on uselessly vain thoughts, worries, imagination and fears. One thing you cannot recycle is wasted thoughts and time. By manipulating the mind, one is able to bring it under control and compel it to concentrate its powers. However, one must not wrestle with it. Lost time is never returned. Struggle only sets more mental waves into motion. The sum total of all the pleasures in the world is nothing compared to the bliss derived from meditation. Feed your mind meditations, and doubt and idle time will starve to death. To reduce the outflow waste of mental energies, the senses must be subjugated. 1/4 of one's energy is diverted to digestion of food, which is often eaten for the pleasure of the taste buds rather than for sustenance. Additional mental and physical energy is squandered in useless idle talking. Learn to have control of the tongue. Without knowing it, enosites are exceedingly plagued by the insatiability of their own minds. Most humans are about as happy as they make up their own minds to be. In order to remove this sort of trouble, the craving for sensory stimulation must be removed. Once the mind has been stilled and concentrated, it no longer presses one to seek further pleasures. The senses can be controlled through reduction of wants and activities. Dietary discipline is essential. Furthermore, one should avoid undesirable company as well as stimulants and depressants. Television, cinemas and newspapers which agitate the mind should be reduced and replaced with periods of sitting in silence and solitude. There is really no right way to do wrong things. By witnessing and tempering desires and emotions, the qualities of egoism, anger, greed, lust and hatred are eradicated, which means to rip out from the roots, to destroy. To reduce the outflow waste of mental energies, the senses must be subjugated. 1/4 of one's energy is diverted to digestion of food, which is often eaten for the pleasure of the taste buds rather than for sustenance. Additional mental and physical energy is squandered in useless idle talking. Learn to have control of the tongue. By observing silence for an hour or two a day, our senses have been habitually overfed and geared to gluttony. The greatest of our faults is to think we have none. One should examine all worldly habits and curtail them sharply. Fasting of the mind is when the thoughts are weaned from attachment to the many fleeting sensations that they feed upon. The senses do not convey experience without the cooperation of the mind. An agreeable exercise is to not allow the senses to come in contact with their object. For example, if certain music or TV programs are found to leave the mind in an agitated state, they should be eliminated. By withdrawing the mind, the senses are also withdrawn. Remember, if you don't care where your life is going, then any road will lead you there. In everyday situation, one should develop the faculty of attention. Concentration itself is a narrowing of the field of attention. The entire attention is thrown into whatever is being done. The individual becomes lost in the job at hand. One must concentrate on the work and rigorously shut out all other thoughts. No work can be done successfully without calmness and concentration. In this way, the mind becomes one-pointed. Failure is a stranger to work done with perfect attention. When one sits for meditation, there should be no thought of job-related work. When doing job-related work, household chores never enter the mind. In training the mind to attend only to the work at hand, there will also be a development of will and memory. You should keep in your memory the importance of work. A person with an agreeable concentration can accomplish a task in half the time, and with twice the accuracy that it would take the average person. It is easy to pay attention to what is pleasant, for the mind is naturally attracted to what pleases it. A beneficial exercise is to fix the attention on unpleasant tasks, from which one you may have previously shrunk. Under scrutiny, they become interesting, and interest reduces the unpleasantness. It's very nice to be important. However, it's more important to be nice. There are experiences that cannot be described, just as colours cannot be described to a blind inner sight. However, all ordinary experiences are limited by time, space, and the law of cause and effect. Normal awareness and overstanding do not transcend these bounds. Finite experience is measured in terms of past, present, and future. These concepts of time are illusory, for they have no permanence. Immeasure, small and fleeting, the present cannot be grasped. Both past and future are non-existent in the present, and therefore are unreal. You live in a world of illusions. With meditation comes freedom, freedom from fear of death. Most of you mortals ponder that death is the end of existence. However, in fact, death means only the extinction of the present name and form. The greater the identification with name and form, the greater the fear. Living a righteous way of life induces detachment from name and from form. It makes one aware of the ever-changing nature of the body and of all phenomenal existence. In recognizing the ephemerality of it all, one realizes the impossibility of holding on to anything, including one's cumbersome ego identity. When this need to grasp disappears, then the fear of losing what one never really possessed vanishes. Immortality is within reach. Remember, real fear is the lack of true faith. We have introduced you to the existence of the All, El Kuluum, what some call quantum physics. Know ye that El Kuluum, the All alone, is real. All gods, be they called Buddha, Krishna, Isis, Anu, Yahweh, Horns, Adonia, Elelo, Amun-Ra, Anu, Khnum, Theos, Dios, Obatala, Rab, Mazda, Aluhum, Osiris, Allah, Uma, Supreme Being, Atun, Creator, Sebet, Most High, Chango are all in the All. The world of illusion is unreal. Idol worship is unreal. Idol worship is not evil, for no idol can be the All. The individual soul is eventually returned to the All, for all things exist within the All. From within the All is where you came, and within the All is where you will return. This ultimate reality is beyond the reach of the limited intellect, and within the reach of the unlimited intellect and the knowable world, you must begin to overstand a new physics. It's called quantum physics. Renunciation alone, the abandonment of all worldly attachments, can lead to knowledge of the Absolute. This is achieved through a process of negation of all worldly desires, identifications, qualification, and extensions. The precepts of Tammuz, whom some of you call Isa or Yahshua, Sananda, Christ, Horns, Sonship, must be practiced, for you are a child of the Most High El, who is in the All. To attain freedom, one must engage in solid spiritual practice. His teachings must enter your bones, nerves, cells, and interior chambers of your heart. Lip confession and the praising of his name, as Jesus is not only inadequate and insufficient, it is sinful. It is pure hypocrisy. We should become absolutely fearless. This is life in reality. No more words, no more talk, no more arguments, heated debates or discussions, no more study, no more wandering. As he said, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. John 14:10. You say, I am in the All, and the All is in me. Become the Christ. Live in truth. Enter silence. There is peace. Peace is silence. That's Nuaubu. That's right knowledge, which leads one to right wisdom and a right overstanding. There are various methods for realizing the self. All are based on the removal of limiting ideas in regard to oneself and the universe. Just as a container creates the illusion that the space inside it is separate and smaller, so the mind creates its own walls, and hence the illusion of separation from the self. Not this is a method of analysis by negation or denial. It is a means of approach. By finding out what a particular subject is not like, one can move towards an overstanding of what it is like. Through this process of negation, one can approach an overstanding of real happiness by realizing that it does not lie in wealth, power, fame, or any other object of worldly pursuit. Through negation of everything that can be known via the senses, one exhausts the mental modifications, and she finds the answer within. Ultimately, direct experience is necessary, for it is not a matter of intellectual overstanding. An oenocyte is not his or her house, nor is he or she his or her job, for these are subject to change, but an oenocyte remains the same. It is useless to identify with clothing or hairstyle, yet all are subject to this form of illusion from time to time. The real you, which is sometimes called the self, is one's essential nature, is neither body nor senses. The body and senses are mere external qualities of the self. The serious spiritual person negates identification with all things of this world which are not real. The oenocyte negates the mind by saying, I'm not this personality, I'm not these desires, I'm not these fears, until eventually all things within worldly experience are negated. Nothing remains but the self. In this kind of meditation, union with the Absolute is achieved by denial of body, mind, name, form, intellect, senses, and all limiting adjuncts. The true I remains, which is absolute existence, knowledge, bliss. One should observe the play of life as though he or she were watching a movie, but again he does not identify with it. Whatever situations one experiences, his or her reaction should be, I'm not involved in this, I'm only watching it happen. This entails introspection and close awareness of the mental waves. The mind does not want to be watched and will soon slow down its activities, but it does not give up without a struggle. In many ways it will deceive and persuade one to stop watching it. It is such a powerful force that it is capable of dragging the attention wherever it goes unless extreme watchfulness is practiced. Many times it will divert the attention from its focus. One must observe this with patience, then firmly return to the witness state, taking care not to fight the mind, but only to gently guide it. The third eye is the pineal gland, which is described as the seat of wisdom, and it is located in the center of the brain. The main function of the pineal gland is to receive information about the state of the light-dark cycle from the environment and convey this information to produce and secrete the hormone melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that your brain produces in response to darkness. The pineal gland resembles the embryonic optic nerve. The pineal gland is a pea-sized gland shaped like a pine cone, located in the middle of the brain. It's the organ of supreme universal connection, and its significance appears in every culture throughout the world. It helps with the timing of your body rhythms, 24-hour internal clock, and with sleep. Being exposed to light at night can block melatonin production, so don't sleep with the TVs or lights on. Melatonin plays other important roles in the body beyond sleep. It keeps you looking young and healthy. Melatonin is carbon spinning at a high vibrational speed. It is pure sunlight turned into a liquid form, then slowed down to a carbon. It is the fuel needed to get out of here, so you can travel through the different dimensions. Melatonin starts to release at about 2.5 hours of sleep. You get a good dose at about 8.5 hours. You should get 9.5 hours of sleep to give the melatonin time to hit all the parts of your body, to give them a powerful recharge. The third eye is our greatest gift to connect us to the source and remind us of a universe that is much more mystical than that which we perceive with your physical senses. It's through the awakening of the third eye and its corresponding pineal gland that we're able to attain supernatural feats such as telepathy, psychic vision, and an intimate connection with the all. A blocked third eye or chakra leads to confusion, uncertainty, jealousy, and pessimism. Through an open third eye, the highest source of ethereal energy may enter. While the physical eyes perceive the physical world, the third eye sees the true world. A list of the benefits and abilities the third eye brings include clarity, concentration, intuition, and insight. The third eye has been linked to lucid dreaming, astral projection, quality of sleep, enhanced imagination, and Haalet aura viewing. The word pineal, which refers to the pine cone shape. The brain is vibrating on 300 to 700 megahertz. The brain is supposed to be vibrating on 900 megahertz. The brain is a soft mass of supportive tissues and nerves connected to the spinal cord. Some of the nerves in the brain go right to the eyes, ears, and other parts of the head. Other nerves connect the brain with other parts of the body through the spinal cord. The brain controls your ability to think, talk, feel, see, hear, remember things, walk, and much more. It even controls your breathing. The brain has three main parts: the the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. The cerebrum, the large outer part of the brain, controls reading, thinking, learning, speech, emotions, and planned muscle movements like walking. It also controls vision, hearing, and other senses. The cerebrum is divided into two cerebral hemispheres, halves, left and right. The right half controls the left side of the body. The left half controls the right side of the body. The cerebral cortex is the largest site of neural integration in the central nervous system. It plays a key role in attention, perception, awareness, thought, memory, language, and consciousness. The cerebellum in the back of the brain controls balance, coordination, and fine muscle control, walking. It also functions to maintain posture and equilibrium. The brain stem, at the bottom of the brain, connects the cerebrum with the spinal cord. It includes the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla. It controls fundamental body functions such as breathing, eye movements, blood pressure, heartbeat, and swallowing. The frontal lobe is important for cognitive functions and control of voluntary movement or activity. The occipital lobe is one of the four major lobes of the cerebral cortex in the brain of mammals. The occipital lobe is the visual processing center of the mammalian brain, containing most of the anatomical region of the visual cortex. The parietal lobes are primarily responsible for receiving and processing sensory input such as touch, pressure, heat, cold, and pain. The parietal lobes are also involved in the perception of body awareness and the construction of a spatial coordinate system, mental map, to represent the world around us. The temporal lobes sit behind the ears and are the second largest lobe. They are most commonly associated with processing auditory information and with the encoding of memory. The spinal cord is the highway for communication between the body and the brain. When the spinal cord is injured, the exchange of information between the brain and other parts of the body is disrupted. The thalamus is a mostly grey matter structure of the diencephalon that has many essential roles in human physiology. The thalamus is composed of different nuclei that each serve a unique role, ranging from relaying sensory and motor signals, as well as regulation of consciousness and alertness. The hypothalamus is involved in different daily activities like eating or drinking and the control of the body's temperature and energy maintenance, and in the process of memorizing and in stress control. It also modulates the endocrine system through its connections with the pituitary gland. The hippocampus is a complex brain structure embedded deep into temporal lobe. It has a major role in learning and memory. It is a plastic and vulnerable structure that gets damaged by a variety of stimuli. The pituitary gland is called the master gland. As the hormones it produces control so many different processes in the body. It senses the body's needs and sends signals to different organs and glands throughout the body to regulate their function and maintain an appropriate environment. The midbrain, also called mesencephalon, region of the developing vertebrate brain that is composed of the tectum and tegmentum. The midbrain serves important functions in motor movement, particularly movements of the eye, and in auditory and visual processing. The two hemispheres in your brain are connected by a thick bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum that ensures both sides of the brain can communicate and send signals to each other. The main function of the pineal gland is to receive information about the state of the light-dark cycle from the environment and convey this information to produce and secrete the hormone melatonin. The amygdala is recognized as a component of the limbic system and is thought to play important roles in emotion and behavior. It is best known for its role in the processing of fear, although as we'll see, this is an oversimplified perspective on amygdala function. After the amygdala sends a distress signal, the hypothalamus activates the sympathetic nervous system by sending signals through the autonomic nerves to the adrenal glands. These glands respond by pumping the hormone epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, into the bloodstream. Adrenal glands, also known as suprarenal glands, are small, triangular-shaped glands located on top of both kidneys. Adrenal glands produce hormones that help regulate your metabolism, immune system, blood pressure, response to stress, and other essential functions. The adrenal glands also keep you alive while you sleep. The adrenal gland also cut off pain. The basal ganglia are referred to as the reptilian or primal brain, and also known as the R complex, a group of subcortical nuclei responsible primarily for motor control, as well as other roles such as motor learning, executive functions and behaviors, and emotions. This structure is in control of our innate and automatic self-preserving behavior patterns which ensure your survival and that of your species. The reptilian complex is responsible for species-typical instinctual behaviors involved in aggression, dominance, territoriality, and power display of control. The spinal column, also called the backbone, starts at the base of the skull and goes down to the tailbone. It has 33 irregular, spool-shaped bones, vertebrae, that are stacked on each other and protect the spinal cord. Keep in mind, there is 33 degrees in Freemasonry. The spinal column is divided into 5 sections: cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral asterisk, and coccygeal. The main function of the sacral or sacrum is to connect the spine to the hip bones, iliac. There are 5 sacral vertebrae, which are fused together. Together with the iliac bones, they form a ring called the pelvic girdle. The brain also sits in a bucket of water that must be changed out every 4 hours called cerebrospinal fluid, which is a watery fluid that flows in and around the 4 hollow spaces of the brain called ventricles and the spinal cord, and between 2 of the meninges. The ventricles are connected. Together, the brain, spinal cord and nerves form the central nervous system. These are so-called diseases that the brain can get if the frequency is lower than 391 Hz. Alzheimer's disease is progressive disease that destroys memory and other important mental functions. This means the hypothalamus and hippocampus area mucous membrane have been compromised. Alzheimer is mucus on the brain. To remove the mucus, stop eating meat and dairy products. Herbs to treat Alzheimer and for the brain are ginkgo biloba, dandelion, elderberry, serratia club moss, ginseng, salvia officinalis, turmeric, lemon balm, ashwagandha, curcuma longa, and 8.0 and up alkaline water. Magnesium, zinc, copper, iron, iodine, selenium, manganese, and potassium. Alongside B vitamins, these minerals represent another set of brain savers. They are all minerals derived from the earth and primarily absorbed from fruits and vegetables. There are brain malformations called epilepsy, a misfire in the brain. Epilepsy is a central nervous system, neurological, nerve cell disorder in which brain activity becomes abnormal, causing seizures or periods of unusual behavior, sensations, and sometimes loss of awareness. The brain has 24 magnetic particles. They are referred to as magnetite. Many living organisms, such as birds, possess a magnetic sense, which enables them to respond to the Earth's magnetic field. This is the magnetic sensory system of the brain. The brain has 24 spark plugs. Like a V8 has 8 spark plugs, V6 has 6 spark plugs, and so on. Well, the brain has a V24 with 24 spark plugs called magnetic particles. These particles are found primarily in the cerebellum, deep within the organ's tissues and the brainstem. All magnetic particles are active in only 67% of human brains. This is because most people magnetic particles have been fried by high and bad frequencies and drugs, which also has a frequency. The other 33% are running on 1 to 3 magnetic particles. Also, they don't take iron to help the brain rebuild them. The connection between the left and right side of the brain by electricity creates a magnetic resonate by way of 3 elements: iron, cobalt, and nickel. This is called asymmetric. These magnetic particles are all made of Fe4 coni. Fe4 meaning 4 iron, 4 grams, Co meaning cobalt, 10 milligrams, 85% being in the form vitamin B12, and Ni meaning nickel, 1 milligram. When these magnetic particles get took out, or if they are not working properly, the brain has problems with memory and a shock wave of these particles, which they called epilepsy and Parkinson's disease. These magnetic particles keep you balanced with the Earth magnetic field, just like the birds. Shaking these particles can make you have what they call dizziness. Dizziness is a term used to describe a range of sensations, such as feeling faint, woozy, weak, or unsteady. Dizziness that creates the false sense that you or your surroundings are spinning or moving is called vertigo. Vertigo is a sensation of feeling off balance and place, lightheaded, feeling faint, or as if your head is spinning. People get dizzy because their magnetic particles become out of whack or unbalanced with the Earth's magnetic field. This is also in the case of motion sickness. Motion sickness is a sensation of wooziness. It usually occurs when you're traveling by car, boat, plane or train. Keep in mind the Earth's magnetic field is different over water and up in the air. Some people, magnetic particles are already unbalanced, so they walk around already dizzy. These people do really good on boat jobs as fighter jet pilots, race car drivers, stunt devils, climbing mountains, jumping out of planes and going out of space on their space shuttle rockets, which are really bombs. Keep in mind they recorded sound on tapes back in the day with magnets. Now they use laser lights to record on disc. Soon they will be using light to store information on crystals, then storing it in the gas/cloud, like as in iPhone cloud. Brain circuits coordinate everything you feel, think and do. Every neuron in your brain has hard-working receptors on its surface that receive signals from nearby neurons. And these receptors can be affected by drug use. Neurons send and receive messages using molecules called neurotransmitters. The neuron is the basic working unit of the brain, a specialized cell designed to transmit information to other nerve cells, muscle or gland cells. Neurons are cells within the nervous system that transmits information to other nerve cells, muscle or gland cells. Most neurons have a cell body, an axon and dendrites. People who get Parkinson's disease and epilepsy have low water intake. Their iron is very low and they are low on vitamin B12. CBD herb in tea form works magic on these people. Keep in mind there is electric moving throughout the whole body. The human body can produce up to about 100 watts of power. The human body can produce between 300 to 2000 watts when running. 100 watts is 600 hertz of frequency. The watts electric move from magnetic particle to magnetic particle in the brain. If there is a bad magnetic particle, just like bad spark plugs in a car engine, there will be misfires. Failing magnetic particles can cause the brain to misfire and thus affect its performance. A single magnetic particle that fails to ignite the water and blood-air mixture can cause a halt in the running of the brain. It can result in incomplete or paused connection and damage to the thalamus, which is the catalytic converter of the brain. Also, mucus can block these particles. Dementia is a general term for loss of memory, language, problem-solving and other thinking abilities that are severe enough to interfere with daily life. Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia. A concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury, or TBI, caused by a bump, blow or jolt to the head or by a hit to the body that causes the head and brain to move rapidly back and forth. Acute cerebellar ataxia, ACA, is a disorder that occurs when the cerebellum becomes inflamed or damaged. The cerebellum is the area of the brain responsible for controlling gait and muscle coordination. The term ataxia refers to a lack of fine control of voluntary movements. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is a degenerative brain disorder that leads to dementia and ultimately death. Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is the last stage of Alzheimer. The omega-3 fatty acids found in fish oil play important roles in brain function and development. There are also claims that fish oil can improve brain function in people with memory problems, such as those with Alzheimer's disease or other cognitive impairments. There are foods that are good for the brain that look just like the brain. Broccoli looks just like the brain and brainstem. Also, the walnut looks like the brain. The brain communicates with itself by transmitting chemicals from one neuron or nerve to the other, and this regular rapid-fire messaging plays a big role in how you feel and function each day. The brain works with the body to create a harmonica sound. The body creates its own formula through 12 sound frequencies called hormones. Hormones are chemical fluids created by the brain and organs or glands. A hormone is any member of a class of signaling molecules produced by glands in multicellular organisms that are transported by the circulatory system/heart to target distant organs to regulate physiology and behavior. Maintaining a balance in these brain chemicals, hormones, is key to feeling a balanced mood. You can help maintain this health to some extent through a balanced diet, limited stress, and exercise. In the context of relationships, chemistry is a simple emotion that two people get when they share a special connection. It is the impulse making one think, I need to see this other person again. That feeling of we click. The chemistry is dealing with the hormones you cause the other person to release when you are around them. There are 12 of these hormone fluids, which are light, turned into sound, then slowed down and turned into a liquid form in the body. Dopamine, C8H11-No2, is a neurotransmitter that is produced in the substantia nigral, ventral tegmental area and hypothalamus of the brain. The major dopamine pathways in the brain are involved in motor control, motivation and reward. Your body makes it, and your nervous system uses it to send messages between nerve cells. That's why it's sometimes called a chemical messenger. Dopamine plays a role in how we feel pleasure. Dopamine controls many functions, including behavior, emotion, and cognition. Cognition refers to the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and the senses. This chemical also communicates with the front part of your brain, which is associated with pleasure and reward. On the positive side, it helps motivate you to work toward achieving a reward or goal. However, many illegal drugs also target dopamine receptors, contributing to drug and alcohol addiction. Because dopamine is related to movement, low levels have also been linked to Parkinson's disease. Dopamine and serotonin have central roles in modulating erection and ejaculation. Dopamine help control their function. Serotonin, C10H12N20 serotonin, plays a role in sleep and in depression. This chemical also plays a major role in many of your body's essential functions, including appetite, arousal, and mood. Many antidepressants target serotonin receptors to improve your mood and lessen depressive symptoms. Most of your serotonin is stored in the intestine, and this chemical plays a role in digestive functioning as well. What is THC? THC stands for tetrahydrocannabinol. THC is able to alter the functioning of the hippocampus. We who are told you that THC stands for 2 hours of consciousness, meaning 2 hours to work out a problem between two parties, so that they could make peace between each other. THC, acting through cannabinoid receptors, also activates the brain's reward system, which includes regions that govern the response to healthy, pleasurable behaviors such as sex and eating. Like most other drugs that people misuse, THC stimulates neurons in the reward system to release the signaling chemical dopamine at levels higher than typically observed in response to natural stimuli. This flood of dopamine contributes to the pleasurable high or low that those who use recreational marijuana seek. Weed also has CBD in it as well, which is the healing aspect. CBD stands for cannabidiol. It is the second most prevalent of the active ingredients of cannabis marijuana. It is derived directly from the hemp plant, which is a cousin of the marijuana plant. In humans, CBD exhibits no effects indicative of any abuse or dependence potential. CBD helps with anxiety, depression, epilepsy, acne, and heart disease. For those with cancer, it may even provide a natural alternative for pain and symptom relief. Dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. These 4 neurotransmitters form the quartet that is responsible for your happiness, and they are all released when we eat chocolate. Giving a woman chocolate increases your chances of getting some, they say. Chocolate increasing serotonin and dopamine, which in turn release estrogen. Recognition of smell usually involves parts of the frontal lobe and parietal lobe. The middle part of the brain, the parietal lobe, helps a person to identify objects and understand spatial relationships, where one's body is compared to objects around the person. There are sensory neurons in the nose, which are responsible for conveying all the information from the nose to the brain. Different types of good smells can activate serotonin and dopamine in the brain. This is why when women or men wear cologne or perfume, they get response from people like, you smell good. They say, what type of cologne or perfume are you wearing? You're smelling good. Activation of person's serotonin and dopamine create chemical release in the brain. Cologne or perfume gives off different smells or frequency based on the person that's wearing it. The cologne or perfume mix with the serotonin coming through the person's skin. Some animals do this as a mating call. When we love someone or like being around them, they make you happy and you two have chemistry. It's because you make that person brain. when you are around them, produce serotonin and dopamine. We also experience a deep sense of care and commitment towards that person, which connect to the heart seat, chakra. Being in love includes all the above. Also involves feelings of sexual arousal and attraction. The dopamine and serotonin release into the blood. You get a high from being around this person. Keep in mind, everything is connected. Smell is a frequency, a sound and a color. To understand how caffeine manipulates the brain in these ways, we must first identify the bodily chemicals that caffeine affects. They are adenosine, which caffeine turns down, adrenaline and dopamine. Adenosine is a neurotransmitter that makes us tired. In women, estrogen, C18H24O2, is produced mainly in the ovaries. Ovaries are grape-sized glands located by the uterus and are part of the endocrine system. Estrogen is also produced by fat cells and the adrenal gland. Higher estrogen levels can increase vaginal wetness by causing the Bartholin glands to produce more fluid. People on hormone treatments, such as those taking hormone replacement therapy, may notice an increase in vaginal wetness. Some people use vaginal estrogen to increase vaginal wetness. Red clover, black cohoes, vitamins D, B, boron, genistein, peaches, raspberry leaves and diamana. Vitamin D functions as a hormone in the body. One study, vitamin D and estrogen work together to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. Vitamin could also stand for something else, but I'll let your mind just wander over that. B vitamins play an important role in the creation and activation of estrogen in the body. Low levels of these vitamins can lead to reduced levels of estrogen. Anandamide, C22H37No2, also known as N-arachidonyl ethanolamine, is a fatty acid neurotransmitter derived from the non-oxidative metabolism of eicosapentaenoic acid, an essential omega-6 fatty acid. The name is taken from the Sanskrit word ananda, which means joy, bliss, delight, and a mead. Oxytocin C40H60N10, O12S2. It can cause or strengthen labor contractions during childbirth and control bleeding after childbirth. It can also be used to induce abortion. Endorphins C77H120N18026S are endogenous opioid neuropeptides and peptide hormones in humans and other animals. They are produced and stored in the pituitary gland. Endorphins release in the brain and nervous system when they are having a number of physiological functions. They activate the body's opiate receptors, causing an analgesic painkiller effect. Norepinephrine C8H11No3. This chemical, also called noradrenaline, can sometimes act as a hormone as well. Its primary role is part of your body's stress response. It works with the hormone adrenaline to create the fight or flight feeling. Norepinephrine may also be used as a drug to raise or maintain blood pressure in certain illnesses. Glutamate C5H9No4. This is the most common excitatory neurotransmitter found throughout your brain and spinal cord. Glutamate has many essential functions, including early brain development, cognition, learning, and memory. Cortisol, C21H30O5, is a steroid hormone that regulates a wide range of processes throughout the body, including metabolism and the immune response. Melatonin, C13H16N2O2, is a hormone primarily released by the pineal gland that regulates the sleep-wake cycle. As a dietary supplement, it is often used for the short-term treatment of insomnia, such as from jet lag or shift work, and is typically taken by mouth. Evidence of its benefit for this use, however, is not strong. Testosterone C19H28O2 is the primary sex hormone and anabolic steroid in males. In male humans, testosterone plays a key role in the development of male reproductive tissues such as testes and prostate, as well as promoting secondary sexual characteristics such as increased muscle and bone mass and the growth of body hair. Insulin C257H383N65077S6 or C18H16O2 and C9H80 is hormone produced in the pancreas by the islets of Langerhans, which regulates the amount of glucose in the blood. The lack of insulin causes a form of diabetes. Hypnosis is a human condition involving focused attention, reduced peripheral awareness, and an enhanced capacity to respond to suggestion. Hypnosis refers to a trance state that is characterized by extreme suggestibility, relaxation, and heightened imagination. The first step to understanding hypnosis is to understand your brain has different brainwave frequencies. We all have these brainwave frequencies, beta, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma, and each frequency is measured in cycles per second, Hz, and has its own set of characteristics representing a specific level of brain activity and a unique state of consciousness. Beta, 13 to 40 Hz. The waking consciousness, reasoning wave, and a heightened state of alertness, logic, and critical reasoning. This is the state we are in while we work, have conversations and interactions in our daily lives. While beta brain waves are important for effective functioning throughout the day, they also can translate into stress, anxiety, and restlessness. The voice of beta can be described as the voice in our head or our constant stream of thought. We spend most of our waking hours in the beta state of alert awareness. In the beta state, the mind analyzes, evaluates, judges, and makes decisions. Alpha, 7.5, 14 Hz. The deep relaxation wave. Alpha brain waves are present in deep relaxation and usually when the eyes are closed, when you're slipping into a lovely daydream or during light meditation. Television does this to people, as in television meaning to tell lies on your vision. They reduce you to an alpha wave, which put you to sleep. It's the mental state in which you consciously create your reality. At this frequency, you are conscious of your surroundings. However, your body is in deep relaxation. This is the description of what hypnosis is. It isn't sleep, it isn't a magic trick, it's simply a relaxed brainwave state. TVs are square boxes that emit frequencies of sound, images, and colors. TVs are used by the people who control the world. They use the TV in hypnosis. They have what they call sitcom, which means they want you to sit calm while they use hypnosis on you. There are people who can use hypnosis through the sound of their voice. Hypnotic subjects showed reduced activity in the left hemisphere of the cerebral cortex, while activity in the right hemisphere often increased. Conventional wisdom has it that when people talk, the direction of their eye movements reveals whether or not they're lying. A glance up and to the left, memory, supposedly means a person is telling the truth, whereas a glance to the upper right, creativity, signals deceit. However, new research thoroughly debunks these notions. In hypnosis, the brain enters the alpha, light hypnosis, and theta, deep hypnosis states, and one is highly focused on hypnotic suggestions and imagery while suspending the ordinary thinking processes of the beta state. In the alpha and theta states, hypnotic suggestions are integrated into the mind more easily, and memories become more accessible. The left hemisphere of the cortex is the logical control center of the brain. It operates on deduction, reasoning, and convention. It is the gateway to your subconscious mind and lies at the base of your conscious awareness. The voice of alpha is your intuition. The closer you get to 7.5 Hz, this is an optimal state for hypnotherapy. This is a time when the constant chatter of the beta state ceases to a large degree and the subconscious mind is open to suggestion. Theta, 4, 7.5 Hz. The light meditation and sleeping wave. Theta brainwaves are present during deep meditation and light sleep, including the all-important REM dream state. It is the realm of your subconscious and only experienced momentarily as you drift off to sleep from alpha and wake from deep sleep from delta. Your mind's most deep-seated programs are at theta, and it is where you experience vivid visualizations, great inspiration, profound creativity, and exceptional insight. Delta, 0, 5 to 4 Hz. The deep sleep wave. The delta frequency is the slowest of the frequencies and is experienced in deep, dreamless sleep. Delta is the realm of your unconscious mind and the gateway to the collective unconscious where information received is otherwise unavailable at the conscious level. Gamma, above 40 Hz, the insight wave. This range is the most recently discovered and is the fastest frequency at above 40 Hz. While little is known about this state of mind, initial research shows gamma waves are associated with bursts of insight and high-level information processing. It is at the alpha-theta border, from 7 Hz to 8 Hz, where the optimal range for visualization and hypnosis or reprogramming of your mind begins. There are many techniques for inducing hypnosis, and most of them bring about the alpha and theta hypnotic states with the same basic method that you use to put yourself to sleep at night. You close your eyes, control the sound, and lie still.